Our story begins on a rainy evening, where we are introduced to Fernando, a security guard, smoking a cigar while waiting for the bus. Suddenly, a car passes by, splashing water on him and ruining his cigar. Enraged by the car's action, Fernando curses and throws the cigar away in frustration. The cigar, carried by the rainwater, lands upright and eventually falls into a manhole in front of a bank. Fernando, following the cigar, approaches the bank in the manhole. He peers into it, following it to its end, where he discovers a large pipe. A brilliant idea suddenly strikes Fernando. Realizing he can't execute this plan alone, he goes to his friend, Sebastián, and proposes, "Why don't we rob a bank? We had a great idea last night." After Fernando presents his idea to Sebastián, although Sebastián agrees, he warns Fernando that robbing a bank is not easy and requires a significant amount of money. To cover this cost, they decide to involve another friend, Divas. However, Divas has no money either, so he takes them to another friend, Mario. Mario is a seasoned thief who has been in and out of prison. Fernando, going with Mario, convinces him that if they successfully rob this bank, he himself will never return to a life of crime. Later, Fernando takes Mario to show him the pipe entrance. Inside, they discuss how much digging they need to do and emphasize the importance of measuring everything carefully to avoid mistakes. Even after all this planning, they realize it won't be as easy as they thought. They return home and begin discussing their plan in detail with Divas. Since they planned the robbery for the night, they are concerned about the bank's alarm system, which detects body heat and is located near a police station. They are all confused about how to bypass this. At this point, Fernando suggests a solution. If they wear protective suits, they can easily bypass the heat sensors. Having solved their first problem this way, they move on to the next challenge. The next major problem is how to open the lockers inside the bank even if they manage to get in. To investigate the bank's layout and the locker situation, Fernando goes to the bank the next day. Upon arrival, he takes out a small camera and starts taking pictures. However, while doing this, the bank's security guards spot him and take him downstairs for questioning. As the guards escort him down, Fernando carefully observes and studies the location of the lockers and the bank's general layout. When the guards check his camera, asking what he was doing, they find nothing because Fernando had already removed the memory card. Unable to find anything incriminating, the guards release Fernando. That evening, Fernando gathers his three friends and shows them every entrance and exit of the bank, where each item is located, where to start digging inside, and how to escape after stealing the gold and money. The next day, while Fernando and Mario are discussing quietly, Mario informs Fernando that the bank has a large insurance policy, so the money they steal would be covered by the insurance, not directly from the customers. Since the robbery is complex, Mario also involves another friend, Alberto, in the heist. That evening, the three of them are discussing the next steps when they realize that even if they get inside, opening the lockers is a problem. If it takes 1 minute to open one locker, multiplying that by 400 lockers would take 400 minutes, which is nearly 7 hours. They cannot stay in the bank that long, so they need a better solution. The next day, Mario goes to another branch of the bank, rents a safe deposit box, and thoroughly studies how to open and close it. After this, the team steals a minibus. This minibus is to be their getaway vehicle, and the driver is Alvaro. They take the minibus to Alvaro and begin waiting for him. Suddenly, police arrive out of nowhere, questioning why they are parked there. Fortunately, Alberto arrives with his wife and explains to the police that these are his friends and they live nearby, allowing them to part ways peacefully. Starting from that evening, the four of them begin digging their escape tunnel together. On the fourth night, however, the expensive drill they were using for the tunnel breaks down. Mario, who had been covering all the expenses until now, says he can no longer spend more money and that he has used up all his funds. The others also have no money. Hearing Mario's words, Fernando loses hope and goes to his girlfriend feeling dejected. While Fernando is talking with his girlfriend, she shares a scientific philosophy, saying, "The stars you see there, their light takes millions of years to reach us." Meaning, by the time we see them, they might already be gone or dead. Inspired by his girlfriend's words, Fernando immediately comes up with an idea. He quickly shares this idea with Mario. The idea is that they can carry out the robbery they planned for the night during the day instead, and their escape route doesn't necessarily have to be the one they initially thought. There are many other options. This revives the dying heist plan, giving it new life and reassuring Mario. The next day, the entire team heads to the heist. After applying silicone to their fingers to avoid leaving fingerprints, the three enter the bank and secure everyone inside. Sebastian enters through the pipe. Once Mario and the others are inside and have secured everyone, a security guard monitoring the surveillance immediately triggers the alarm, calling the police. The police arrive on the scene and secure the area. Fernando, going outside, brings in a worker and tries to act as if he needs to do something, saying, "If you tell me to bring in any worker, I will." He then goes back inside. Mario, seeing that the security guard has called the police, threatens a worker by pointing a gun and saying, "Get down," intimidating him. After the security guard comes down, Mario takes his weapon and, seemingly worried he might reveal their plan, escorts him outside. Fernando goes to the lower part of the bank, blocks one of the cabinets, and meets up with Sebastian, who had entered through the pipe. Now that their escape tunnel is finished, they quickly begin collecting the money and gold. Since Sebastian is an engineer, instead of wasting time opening the lockers by hand, he quickly opens them using a machine he built. However, Mario learns that police are attempting to enter through the roof. The police commander, having taken the bank security's phone, contacts Mario using it. Mario warns the police commander that if he doesn't withdraw the people from the roof, he will kill everyone inside one by one. The commander, wanting to avoid a massacre, withdraws the team from the roof and positions only 2 snipers on the nearby bridge, instructing them to remain vigilant. Mario then says he wants to speak to the Prime Minister, otherwise, he will kill everyone. The commander informs him that arranging this would take at least an hour. Mario hangs up on him. The commander and the police, knowing the bank only has 2 exits, decide to wait and see what the robbers do, as it doesn't seem like these 4 security guards have committed any incomprehensible robbery. The commander calls Mario again and says, "So far, you haven't harmed anyone. Therefore, surrender peacefully. I will get you a lawyer, and your prison time will be reduced." After hearing the commander's words, Mario says, "I need to discuss this with my partners first." However, Mario's intention wasn't really to negotiate with the police commander, he was just buying time for Sebastian and Fernando to finish looting the vaults. Also, among the hostages in the bank, it was an elderly woman's birthday. When Mario finds out, he wishes her a happy birthday, gives her a chocolate, and lets her go in peace. The snipers, observing from a distance what was happening inside the bank, whether it was a robbery or a prank, became confused and reported what they saw to their superior. Their superior, after hearing from the partners, calls Mario. Mario tells the police commander, "I served 15 years in prison, that's why I did this. I want to speak to the Prime Minister himself. Until I speak to him on the phone, we will not surrender." The police commander, having no other option, connects Mario directly to the Prime Minister via phone. However, when Mario gets the Prime Minister on the phone, he says, "I don't want to talk to you either. You politicians are all fake and cruel." He then returns the phone to the police commander and tells him to have his lawyer handle the matter. The police commander, though losing his patience, endures it for the sake of the hostages and asks, "All right, what is your lawyer's phone number?" Mario picks up a mobile phone from one of the hostages and says, "This is my lawyer's number," and sends the number. The commander, thinking it's the lawyer's number, calls. Mario himself answers, disguising his voice, and starts bluffing the police, buying time for his partners below to finish selling the gold and money. Meanwhile, downstairs, Fernando and Sebastian have finished looting everything from the vaults and begin moving all the items out through the tunnel they dug to their getaway boat. The police commander, however, becomes suspicious. Especially when Mario's phone call ends, it becomes clear that these people are stalling for time for their robbery. But he is confused about how they could possibly exit, as the bank's exits are blocked. Suddenly, he looks down and sees the manhole and realizes that the robbers might be escaping through the water drainage line. He immediately understands, although the police commander finally grasps the situation, because he was tricked. By the time he reacts, Mario and the others have already loaded all the loot through the tunnel. Mario also takes all the employees upstairs, locks them in after closing the door, leaves all their fake guns there, boards their boat, and escapes before the police can reach them, using remarkable skill and speed. The police split into 2 groups, half enter the broken-into bank, while the others follow the water drainage line, reaching Mario's escape point. However, Bruno, the mastermind behind all this, had thought the police might find this escape route, so he had temporarily blocked and diverted the water's path. When the police arrive at the scene, Mario and his crew have already successfully escaped. The police commander and the other officers who enter the bank discover that every weapon Mario and his team used was artificial. They feel embarrassed for having been tricked in this way. Nonetheless, the commander admires Fernando's overall cleverness in the heist itself. Mario and his crew burn the car they used for escape to ensure it cannot be traced, and they successfully escape with a vast amount of money and gold. After dividing their share equally, they all relax in various bars across the country. After some time has passed, one day Fernando, bored with his comfortable life, gets into an argument with his wife. His wife, heartbroken and frustrated by her husband's behavior, goes and reports everything to the police, turning them all in. Fernando's case is reopened, and they are put on trial. However, since the weapons they used were artificial and they didn't harm anyone during the heist, their prison sentences are greatly reduced. After a short time, they are released. Fernando, being the main mastermind, receives a longer sentence of 7 months, but he is eventually released as well. The police return about half of the stolen money to the bank. However, since it was impossible to determine exactly how much gold each vault held, Fernando and his crew had hidden half of what they initially stole. They continue to enjoy their lives of luxury and pleasure. Our story ends here.